host in there. We have an audience in there as well. On top of that, we are also streaming this to Augmented World Expo's live stream. So it takes place in 3 spots. With that said, show of hands, who has been to one of these before? All right. Show of hands with audio. Great. Next one, show of hands, who has not been here before? Awesome. Part of the reason I do that is also for the folks in the virtual environment. At the bottom center of their screen, they can actually have a button that raises their hand, and that allows Caroline to know that they want to say something once we get to the Q&A portion. Are we good, Tom? Are they in presentation mode in frame?
We are.
Okay. So as soon as frame is in presentation mode, I will get started. And I'm going to present from over here off the stage because that's the only way I can change the slides. But that's okay, because most of you can see me. Some of you can see a TV screen, but that's all right. Are we streaming? We are streaming. Okay. I want to do a test real quick. Rob, can you make sure I can hear frame here? Caroline, can you speak to me?
How are you? Can you hear me?
We hear you. Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to check. Okay, cool. So we hear you, you hear us. Yes?
We can hear you just fine.
Excellent. Okay. All right, we're going to get started here. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Let me switch my presentation to slides, which I've done. All right, cool. So welcome to the next evolution. Tonight, we will be talking about immersive technology and arts, AV, and communication. We have our panel of folks who are working in this industry who will be speaking. These are who they are. Some of them are here in person. Some of them will be in the virtual environment. I'm going to run through these slides pretty quickly. My name is Matt Wren. I'm the founder of VR/AR Chicago and the Next Evolution event series, which started in 2017. My passions and expertise spans a lot of emerging technology, specifically augmented reality and virtual reality, and that is all I'm going to say about myself. If you'd like to know more about me, come up and say hi after the program. Happy to talk to you. The Next Evolution AWE Nite Chicago event series is now and always will be 100% free to attend. That said, it is not free to produce. Please consider donating, purchasing a ticket. Even though it is free to attend, we do have tickets available for sale. There are going to be some benefits to buying tickets in the near future. We'll have more about that probably in the next newsletter. But we also have this lovely QR code for anybody who actually wants to make a donation, because there is some significant cost that actually comes into producing these. With that said, the Next Evolution is also partnered with Augmented World Expo. This is AWE Nite Chicago. There are over 30 AWE Nites that take place all over the world. Augmented World Expo is global. It's a great event and worthwhile to attend. They have a program coming up called Communities Advancing the XR Industry coming up on March 13th. We would suggest checking that out. AWE Academy is where people can attend online live courses by the XR community, for the XR community and beyond. For example, there's a fundraising prep course for XR startups and a web AR course, which is now available on demand and pre-recorded. All that said, oops, I must have advanced too quickly. Check awexr.com for more information. That's also always linked on our website. If any of the things that I bring up about where to go to check things out, there are links on VR/AR Chicago's website. With that said, we would like to thank our venue sponsor, 2112. And the question is, who from 2112 is coming up to say a few words? Is that you, Rob? Is Scott still here? Who's coming to say something? Scott. Rob has nominated Scott. We love it when that happens. Because we realize a lot of you here might be familiar with 2112, but there's a lot of people in the virtual space who probably have not seen 2112. So as soon as Scott comes up here, we'll get him going, and we will present 2112. I got my presenters up front. I just didn't get the other people who have to talk. Go ahead.
All right. How's that? All right. I'm Scott Fetters, director of 2112. So over the last 9 years, the vision has continued to evolve into what is now really, trying to develop the model on how to develop a creative sector globally that leverages physical hubs for greater vision of economic development workforce. So we have a little over 100 member companies in music, film, fashion, sports, design. That's what I was. Creating intentional community for creatives. We have a nonprofit arm, the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship as well, that provides education, mentorship. So the goal really being get as much as possible of Chicago's creative sector under one roof, provide all of the physical and educational resources needed for growth. Excellent. And thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the microphone. That works. Okay. With that said, I mentioned that we're doing this in a live and a virtual space at the same time. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to our virtual host, Caroline Dennis.
Thank you so much, Matt. Hello, everyone. My name is Caroline Dennis. I'm happy to be here. I have a company called 2 Degrees, and I work at the intersection of immersive technology and Web3. My passion for data sovereignty, digital preserving technologies, health equity, and social well-being drives my work in global communities. In addition to working with VR/AR Chicago, I work with XR Women, a global community of women, and also an organization called Symphony, which is a global incubator building inclusive, sustainable, smart cities. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of XR Women, we are over 700 women from 60 countries. Over the last, really now we're in the 3rd year, over 160 women have taken the stage, sharing their insights and expertise. We meet every Wednesday in a variety of different immersive platforms and worlds. And we're really a force for change, shaping the future of immersive technology. Our virtual panelists and myself are in an environment called Frame this month, and that is powered by Verbella, where we have been in the past. We're excited to be here, and I'd like to introduce now Alyssa Keast to come from, she's from the Frame team. I'd love for you to come up, Alyssa, and just say a little word here.
Sure, here I am, Caroline. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet everyone here today. So as you said, my name is Alyssa Keast, and I am a virtual collaboration consultant with both Verbella and Frame. I've been working with the companies for the last 3 years. In a previous life, I was actually a live events planner working with hotel companies, so long ago. But let's talk a little bit about Frame today. So Frame is a web-based virtual collaboration program that you can see that we're in today. It lets you create different spaces with different use cases. We've supported multiple implementations in education, corporate, live events, and enterprise business. So think remote and hybrid work use cases, recruiting, onboarding, learning and development, those types of engagements that might need to be gamified, to be elevated in that way, and to build community. For those of us in the virtual world, if you've used your mouse to look around, you'll see that we're in the outdoor theater space, which is one of our template environments made specifically for presentations like we are having today. For those in the real world, you should get a sense for the stage that you're seeing on the screen there. We have many other template environments, and they are also very customizable, which has helped many of our partners create digital twins of their physical spaces, which is always really fun. Also, being device agnostic, Frame lets you join these worlds from laptop, mobile devices, and VR headsets seamlessly. There's a lot more to the platform, but we'll look at that at another time. To learn more, please click on the event page for VR/AR Chicago on the website. Enjoy the event today, everyone. And just one quick tip for those of us in the virtual world, if you hit the 3 key, it lets you clap. So feel free to use that when the speakers finish up. All right, now back to you, Caroline.
Thanks so much, Alyssa. Awesome. Back to you, Matt.
All right, thank you. And I'm gonna normally we kind of stopped doing this, but I'll show you really quick. So you're looking at one view of the virtual environment there. This is a full 3D space. I'll pop really quickly up to my view of the virtual space. Part of the reason I'm showing you that is, hey Tom, can you switch to the audience view real fast? You see that screen on the left side? Everybody in the virtual space can see you. Everyone in the physical space can see the virtual space. Yep, there you all go. So we are interacting live with the virtual space. I'm going to now go back to the slides and get back on with the program. So besides our sponsors, we also have to thank a lot of our community partners supporting these events, including Vanity, 2 Degrees, Independent Game Developers Association of Chicago, 2112 Chicago, Envision, and Patched Reality. With that said, we also want to let you know one of the things that we do here is we have an NFT. I'm going to keep this QR code here up for a little bit. It'll be up again at the end of the program. But one of the things that we're doing is we have a giveaway that takes place every year that is tied to your attendance at the event as well as collection of this NFT. Where's Jay? He's in the audience here. Jay, raise your hand. He's back there. That is the person who won our Quest 3 from the NFT collection last year. So that's what we gave away. That's the whole reason we have this NFT up. I'm kind of talking just to keep the slide up for a few more minutes. This is the NFT. If you'd like to be entered to collect it, there you go. I'll show it at the end of the event again. But with that said, let's get to the actual topic of the evening, which is AV, arts, and communication. So that's what we're talking about today, the full spectrum. We're talking about the large spectrum of how immersive technologies, virtual reality, and augmented reality are being used in the arts, AV, and communications industries. In the arts, AR and VR are used as tools for creation as well as enhancing the experience of the work. AR overlays artworks onto the physical world, and while virtual environments like Frame provide ways in which artists can share their work to a larger global audience, as well as collaborate with others without needing physical proximity. AR can be used to guide people through spaces like museums, art shows, events, or environments to provide additional multimedia content, enriching the visitor experience. Headsets create an entire new way in which filmmakers can tell their stories. Before a theatrical set is created, teams can view renderings in AR or VR to collaborate on any changes or plans for fabrication, and augmented reality tools enhance post-production processes, providing editors with interactive overlays. Real-time rendering and virtual production allows filmmakers to make adjustments on the fly. When brands are looking to engage in a new way with their customers, they can leverage these tools to enhance their experience, creating a more positive relationship with the brand. And we've got a whole lot of people here to talk about a bunch of the different ways that that's going to work tonight. So with that, I'm going to invite up our first presenter, Kevin King. Kevin has been in the music industry for 20 years. With a focus on immersive audio, the past 4 years with a childlike passion and obsession for music. Thanks, Kevin. Let's go.
Is this thing gonna blow up?
Yeah, you gotta talk to Rob on that.
We good? Awesome. I think there's what's that? Oh, sweet. Can you hit the first slide? Boom. So, if you can see this, does anybody have any clue what this movie's from? Boom, love it. So 2 weeks ago, I was watching said Ratatouille with my 2 kids, and I've seen it 100 times, easily. My daughter's obsessed with it. She's 18. She's about to go to school in Paris because of this movie. And as I was watching it, I knew I was going to do this presentation, and I got so many little hints of what I could pull from that movie into what we're working on at my company. So in the opening scene of Ratatouille, Remy jumps through the window, and he gives the backstory on who he is. And so who I am, I've been in the music business since I was 15. It was a lifelong passion to be in the business of not, anytime I tell people I'm in the music business, they're like, oh, cool, what do you play? I'm the nerdy business guy, the guy that's like, marketing, sales, business development, all that stuff. And so when I worked at all the major labels in New York City, and once this little thing called iTunes happened, it just was a lightning rod for me. And so I've been focused on streaming music and the analytics behind that. I worked at a company called Chartmetric for the past 5 years, which is streaming music analytics. So we can it's almost like Bloomberg for stock. We can tell how an artist is doing, the 360 view of how they're doing on Spotify and Apple and Shazam and TikTok and anywhere else. But I got very fortunate to meet this company that we're going to talk about next, called Scava. You can do the next slide, man. And Scava is a it's spatial audio at its core, but what we're really focused more on is more immersive audio, and how you can take the physical space of a studio or a music venue and then replicate. We go in with this technology and we capture the true sound signature of that space, and then we replicate it for headphones, and sometimes, in some cases, the car, which we'll talk about shortly. But the whole core of what we're working on is to replicate how music makes you feel. And we all know how music makes us feel when we're in our walking with headphones on, or in your living room, in the kitchen, however that is. It's a feeling, and it's very visceral and it's very alive. And so we wanted to replicate that for consumer audio. So next slide, ma'am. Again, Ratatouille. So if you watch the movie, at the end, this is Ego, and he is a little bit concerned that there are mice in this restaurant. And so at the end of the movie, the whole point of they want to impress this guy. He's the restaurant reviewer, and they're in trouble. So Remy and Linguini make this dish, Ratatouille, because this guy, that's his favorite dish when he was a kid. And so when he tries it, it reminds him of that dish, and he goes back to his childhood, and he can see his mom making the dish, but it's a little bit better. It's not a replicate of his mom's dish. It's just a little bit better, and he freaks out. And that's what I feel like we are chasing right now. Is if you're listening to the Beatles or the Doors or Taylor Swift, you can hear it still sounds familiar, but it sounds just a little bit better. And the fact that you know where it came from, and you have the storytelling and the place-based orientation, that I'm listening to exactly where this audio was created, it feels different. And I've been fortunate enough to experience this quite a few times from a whole number of studios that we've captured in the past 4 years, one of which is the Sound Factory in Sausalito, which is where Fleetwood Mac did Rumors. And I got to hear it for the first time, and it feels like Stevie Nicks is in your living room. And it really hits you in a way that's how you would look. That's how it feels. Next slide. So I use Taylor Swift because this is the Long Pond studio, where she did 2 acoustic records 4 years ago during COVID. And they picked this studio because of the way it sounds. Like there's an earthy tone that she was going after. And I mean, obviously, if we got Taylor Swift to use this technology, I would be getting all of you guys Teslas. Wink, wink. So every place where music is created has a story to tell. And instead of just saying we're spatial audio, where it gets interesting is that place-based origination, and where it comes from, and how that makes you feel. So next slide. Our first go-to-market, as they say in the business world, was this company, Steven Slate Audio, that wanted to use this technology. And it just so happened that it was this time, literally 4 years ago, right before COVID. And so we were able to capture a whole bunch of studios where producers could go in and finish their mix virtually. So, they've recorded the record all the way up until the point where they need to okay, how's this going to sound in a studio? And so COVID, again, was very good to us. It sounds awful, but it was. We sold 10,000 of these headphones, and these are all the reviews from various producers around the world. And when I saw this, I was like, I think that should be for fans. That should be a consumer play where we take this technology and allow the fan to experience this in a way they never have before. Next slide. I won't read all of this, but what's happening in the music business right now, there's almost 1 billion people that stream music in the world right now. It's unheard of. But by the end of next year, there'll be 1 million songs added to Spotify a month. So it's basically just a commodity now. And so there's a big thing that's happening called the superfan movement. And by 2030, it'll be a $60 billion business. And so we feel like we're not going to be the only ones, but there is going to be a push, there already is happening, of the superfan, and how do you cater to them? And so this product really speaks to that mentality. Next slide. So again, this is a guy that I follow on LinkedIn called Rob Abelo. He is very adamant about this superfan movement. And so there's a interesting thing that's not interesting. This is a real conversion rate. So we think of superfans as 1% of a Spotify monthly follower. So if it is Taylor Swift, who's got 88 million, I think, 1% of that is the superfan. That's the one that's going to buy anything she does. That's not a good example because it's probably way higher than 1%. But for the most part, it's 1%. And so this technology is applying to that 1%, that superfan, that the one that's going to buy anything. Next slide. And so finally, this is why Scava. The company's called Scava, but the product is a Real Room, and Real Room kind of flows a little bit better than Scava because what the hell is that? What's cool is this technology lives between the phone and the headphones, or in a lot of cases, it would be, not in a lot of cases, but it would be, if it's in a car, it would be in the dash. And so there's not, we don't have to license the technology through record labels or publishing. The signal, again, lives between the device and the speaker or the headphone. And so we're chasing a whole bunch of venues like Subterranean and venues that we all know where we can capture the sound signature, but also studios, Abbey Road, Muscle Shoals, Billie Eilish, wink wink, is somebody where I can't believe I can say this out loud, but like that, she recorded her records in her house. And so if we can go in and capture her house and replicate that, if you're a fan, you get to hear it in that unique way. So that's the use case. So that's what we do. Wish us luck.
Thank you, Kevin. And we will get to questions and answers after all the speakers have given their introductions. So with that said, I'm going to toss it over to Caroline.
Absolutely. And I'm thrilled to be introducing Wadua Wali. And this really does not even do it justice. And Wadua, I'm so thrilled that you've joined us tonight. Wadua Wali is a visionary, natural-born storyteller. As a true media industry influencer, her career expertise spans across traditional and disruptive new media platforms. That is just an ounce of what this woman has done in her career, and I can't wait to hear more. So welcome, Wadua. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Should I go on camera now?
Yes, that would be great.
Yes. All right. Hello, Chicago. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great event. Thank you for the introduction. Carolyn. I'm excited to be here and talk about this next evolution that we find ourselves in. And let me see, is somebody's doing my slides for me, is that correct?
Yep, all set. Got that right up there.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm not going to read, and I apologize. My slides are not as pretty. It's just been a bit of a hectic time these past couple of weeks, but definitely wanted to be here to talk and be a part of this group. So when I think about, and I think part of the reason why Carolyn was having trying to encapsulate my journey here, it's been an interesting journey. I'll say that, and it started with Web 1, and I would say that my career, right place, right time, has been about pushing the next technology and pushing the next evolutions. It's also been an interesting dance between and when I say our, I mean consumers' relationship with technology. Because when I think about when I first landed in San Francisco, I was helping to help consumers get online and engage with search. So I helped launch a company called Ask Jeeves back in the day, whose motto was to revolutionize or humanize the internet. Because this is back before we had Google and back before we even had any of this AI that is now the new hot thing. But if you think about how far we've come in such a short amount of time and the different technological evolutions that have helped us get there, I mean, once upon a time, technology was very much outside of our everyday being. But today, you can't get through the day without engaging in technology, whether that's through our devices. I mean, like we're sucked into the matrix at all times. And so like I said, search and online postage. So the company that I was working with, we did not beat out stamps.com, but we all joined together to go up against the U.S. government to allow people to print stamps at home, because that was a thing back then. And so you just keep pushing these things into people's spaces, and it's been an exciting journey to understand how technology helps us and how we benefit from it. And I would say that the last company that I worked with before moving to Los Angeles was I was on the team that helped open Facebook up to everybody. So when it was transitioning from just schools, and I think there were high schools and colleges at the time, to everybody. So and then I moved to LA for another startup, and I was like, why do I have to go to LA for a startup? That's because online publishing was becoming the new thing. And so that's what was sexy and hot down here in Los Angeles, was less of the nerdy tech and the utility tech, but more of the, being seen and people engaging with media. And so I worked with a company called Demand Media. It's called something else now, but at a certain point in time, we were valued to be more than the New York Times. And so while we're putting out content and doing these different partnerships with Livestrong, the Livestrong Foundation and Lance Armstrong, or Tyra Banks and Type F, we're also being dinged as a content farm for filling up the internet with crap content, which, if you think about where we're at today with AI and the rise of that, it's like we're right back in that place again. But it's like you can't fight the technology trend. So so along the way, I was talking about the democratization of content, and we became one of the biggest providers of content to YouTube. And I decided to make a documentary film because I was like, right, I'm talking about how creators can do this thing. And I should say that that's been a dream of mine since I was a little girl. I've always wanted to tell stories for screens. And my parents, being very practical people in Gainesville, Florida, tried to push me in a different direction. But now, and I guess that was probably circa 2008 and 2009, I did it while working to take this company public. And so this dance with media just really continued to seep in. And so on the other side of that, and taking that company public, I got together with some friends at the time, because we all had content, and we were all in the LGBTQ space. And I had been having conversations about putting my documentary up on like a Netflix or whatnot, or other streamers, and I was just like, we need a media company. We need our own media company, so we can still go out to those other places, but why not create our own hub for people to access that content? And that's how Breviary came about. Then at some point, I got recruited to come work for what was then becoming Warner Media, because they needed somebody who understood how to speak, how to make that transition, and how to engage audiences across platforms beyond linear TV. And even though I knew that's an industry that's not really growing, it's kind of dying. I knew that back in 2017 when I joined. I wanted to be in the spaces. I wanted to hear what's on people's minds. I wanted to hear how big companies are thinking about new media. And so it was around that time that I really started working with a team internally there that was developing XR content. And so that kind of planted the bug again in terms of looking at what's next. And during the pandemic, I had the opportunity to come on board to New Canvas. And New Canvas is, if you go on to the next slide. So New Canvas, and I should take a step back and say that it was my other half, my business partner. He's in Australia, so you can wave to him from Australia, and you can watch it on the feed later. But New Canvas is a next generation award-winning media company that produces and publishes immersive entertainment for digital first audiences. And we are very unapologetic about our focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And that was important to me because, again, I'm coming out of these other companies and these other spaces where people talk about those things and it becomes a lot of lip service. Now is the opportunity, looking ahead at this industry and the space that's coming together and being built. I was like, let's build it right from the start, as opposed to, other companies that I was working with in traditional Hollywood when we were doing a lot of course correcting and talking about and putting forth initiatives to put more women or people of color behind the cameras and involved in the content creation process. So this was really exciting to me because it's emerging space and it gives an opportunity to create content that's accessible for all. And I think that that's what's really exciting about one of the other things that's really exciting about this space. It's the ability to democratize access to information and experiences. And we've been, like I said, we've been a little bit busy lately. So we've some of the pictures that you can see there were recently named as an accelerated company within Warner Brothers Discovery. We were one of 13 companies that were selected. So we're working with them in that accelerator to create, well, I can't really talk about a lot of stuff, but we're in that accelerator and more to follow on that later. And then just yesterday, we announced a new project that has been my baby for almost a year now that I've been putting forward. And that is developing a new VR series called When Brooklyn Was Queer. And that's with Elliot Page and Elliot Page's Page Boy Productions. And the series is based on a New York Times winning book called by Hugh Ryan. And sorry, Hugh, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling about that. But like I said, it's been a flurry of activity, and we're really excited to bring some of the stories inspired from that to life. And next slide. So where we started and really coming out of the pandemic, we hit the ground running with a bang. We had some other projects that we had developed, but this was our first big one that was co-funded by Meta. It's actually currently available for viewing. So if you have an Oculus headset, go check it out. I will drop the link in a chat for everyone to check out. But yeah, illustration, like I said, co-funded by Meta, was developed by a First Nations creator in Australia. It's won all kinds of awards, and since it's had its debut at South by Southwest in 2022, we went on to go into a bunch of other festivals, including Venice Immersive and SIGGRAPH. But the series itself is a noir, it's adapted from a comic book, and it just really takes place in the afterlife, and it pushes us to question our information sources. And I don't know, it's really exciting. I will give you that. I will promise you that. I will drop the link to the trailer in the chat for people to check out as well. But we recently, again with our news, got funding from the Australian government to develop season 2. So we're heads down working on that to bring that to life. But yeah, so creating a lot of content and having a lot of fun. And that is illustration. Next slide, please. So
Just
I
have
think,
another minute here. That'd be great. Wadua, thanks.
okay, yeah. So yeah, I think what I want to end on is just basically thinking about this opportunity for XR and immersive, and thinking about the promise of entertainment, the experiences we're currently having, and being able to bring them to life in more meaningful ways. And with that in mind, I will pass the mic.
Thank you so much, Wadua, and I can't wait to get into this. And I know that when you hear a lot of these terms, to visualize how this all actually works, it's crazy. So I look forward to we'll all look forward to hearing a little bit more detail about that when we have time for questions. I'll turn that back over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Caroline. And let's see if my slide advance is working. There it is. Okay, cool. Thanks, Caroline. So with that, I'm going to invite Christopher Fry up to the stage. Christopher leads a team of designers, artists, and programmers that create digital experiences for the live events world. He likes to say, if it's digital, Pulse can create it, and we just need one special tool. So with that, go ahead, Chris.
That tool is your checkbook. No, seriously, it's thank you to Matt, Tom, and Caroline for hosting. It's a lot to put these events on, takes up a lot of your time, so we appreciate all the effort into it. So thank you for the invite. Good to see everybody here turned out for it. It's good to network, meet some new faces. So from, if you want to go to the next slide, Pulse Studio, we got our start as an architectural rendering company, started 2006. We got killed with all, around the time the internet was really evolving, we got killed by all the other countries doing it for much cheaper. So we were like, okay, what else can we do? So we started working with a scenic designer, taught that scenic designer 3D. That scenic designer taught us scenic design. So we got into the scenic world, and we evolved from scenic design. We got into trade show booth design. So my POV is from the events world. So we had a lot of clients over time. We just went from event design. We moved into technology because everything we do is 3D. So we have the 3D models. We have all the Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, all those. We can make the graphics and content. And we said, well, we have all these clients. What else can we do? So we started working on content. So we said, what content can we do? So we got into touchscreens, AR, VR. We ordered the dev kit from Oculus, and we started messing with that to see what we could do. And it just transitioned nicely into the events world because all of our clients, they want to look cutting edge at trade shows. So they'll come to us and be like, we want to do this. And it's like, okay, cool. You want to use VR. What do you want to do? We don't know, but we want it. So it's our job to take things from them and say, okay, you have an audience. Is your audience technology friendly? Because you don't want to bring it to people and they're like, we don't know how to use this. So we have to go through a process with them to make sure that it's validated that what they want to do makes sense. And then there's all sorts of details to that. We can get into the discussion, but during COVID, we had to develop our own virtual platform because we lost all of our work. We came from the live events world. COVID shut everything down. So we said, what do we do? We've got all these people. We want to keep working. So we used our 3D design, and we worked with a programmer company, and we made our own virtual platform that got us through COVID. After COVID, virtual events are so stressful. There's so many things that can go wrong. So that's why we're happy to be out of it. But the platforms that have merged are stable, and it's nice to see them like. So anyway, so out of COVID, we're still developing things. We have different clients asking for different things. Live events are back. I thought after COVID, people would never put on a headset again, but we've gotten more calls recently, more emails for VR and AR technology. So it's nice to see that people still want to do things at trade shows. So it's, if you want to move to the next slide. So when we talk to our clients, it's what is the experience? So are we doing a physical experience, a digital experience, or virtual? I put digital and virtual in different categories because it's some of our services. But the virtual experiences is what I think this group is interested in. But it's how do we get a positive brand experience with our clients, company, brand, trade show, whatever, to experience with their audience. So next slide. So Matt's going to show a clip here from one of our videos. Our goal is you have an audience at trade shows. How many have been to trade show? So you're at the trade show. There's all this eye candy. You're like, there's so many things, but half of the audience doesn't want to talk to anybody, but they just want to experience it. They want to look at things. So like what Matt's showing is we have a small amount of time to get people's attention. And then you have a small amount of time if they actually get to you, because there's 20 other booths or 100 other booths that your audience wants to talk to. So you have to give them a positive brand experience in a short amount of time. So from our point of view was always the challenge of no one wants to pay for a totally custom VR experience because they don't want to pay the big fee for that, right? So we came up with VR modules that can be easily branded. You can change out the logos, the graphics. You can put things where if you want a video from some VIP from the company in the beginning, if you want it at the end, if you have a good experience of the game, and then you go, oh, I remember I had a good experience with that. So it's just part of the experience we're trying to give them. Do you want to play that again? Oh, so like this one, we worked with Acme Design out of Elgin. I don't know if anyone's familiar. They do custom props. They do amazing work. So we were discussing the movie Aliens at one point. So they created an iPad case that looked like the Weyland-Yutani technology from Alien. And then we created an app that scanned a physical object, as you can see here. So the user would be holding it, looking at it, and we tried to emulate the monochromatic green of the screen. So we tried to get a vibe of that and combine that with AR to have a fun experience. So we would cross promote at that trade show that we were at. So we would say, hey, you liked this experience, go check out our friends that do props. So that's where we were testing physical props tracking with the AR apps. So you can see that there's a fun experience because a lot of people got freaked out, and but they built the case well, and it was safe. The iPad was safe in there. But okay. So this is a screen capture of the Iridium satellite company. So every year they would be like, okay, we want to do something else cool. What can we do this year? So they came to us. They had like 13 verticals, and it's going to track to the table here. So we came up with a story that said, okay, here's all those verticals. Here's a physical, an augmented reality space that combines all of it. So like logistics, aviation, military aviation, personal exploration, logistics, management services, shipping. So we were able to take all these touch points and make an interesting experience that instead of bringing all these props or a model to a trade show event, we were able to show it with the salespeople. They could just do it in the booth on the table, tracking to the logo, or they could be at the bar networking and be like, hey, check this out, and have it on their phone. So we did all these different things where you could click on the products and get into learning the different ones. So they had they're the lowest orbiting satellite system over Earth. So instead of trying to bring a 3D model with all the 72 satellites, we were able to show that with augmented reality. So it's finding what the audience or what the client wants to present and making it a fun, interactive way. And then they're at the trade show and they've got the tablet and they're talking to the docent, explaining the product, so they have a positive brand experience, and you did something cool, right? You got to see something neat. So that's our point of view is you've got a limited amount of time. You got to work with the client's budget, and it's got to be entertaining so they have a good brand experience. So what's the next slide? Or is it the last one? And then I think this is more for the panel discussion, but it's in the event industry, the client wants to show off what they can do, but it's keeping people's attention is hard. The issues we have are always pricing, the hardware. It's always the question of, okay, you want an AR app. Are you expecting everyone to download the app? Because I don't want to download apps, but I like having those experiences. But you have to have those conversations early on to figure out what the client needs. Timing, everyone's like, yeah, we want this. Let's make it amazing. When do you want it? The show is in 2 weeks. Does that work? No. So We like to say 3 months is ideal, but it's, you lock down the creative, you've got a month to do all the modeling, then there's a month of programming, testing, and then that last month is, okay, now we're experiencing this, let's see if there's any bugs before it goes to show site or we have to upload it. And then delivery, how are they interacting with it? The good thing with now is we're exploring a lot with web AR to trigger things where we don't have to make people download apps. So there's just knowing your audience and what the problems are, you just, communicate and figure out what you're trying to do there. So, and then the future, I guess we can save for the panel discussion. But that's it, just to get some credibility. That's what we do. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Chris. And with that, so just so you guys are aware, we are going to have live Q&A, so be thinking of your questions because you'll get to ask these guys whatever questions you want, either the live or virtual. But with that, I'm going to toss it back over to Caroline to introduce Celeste.
Yes, awesome. Well, I'm really pleased to introduce Celeste Lear. She's a producer, an immersive experience designer, a music and sound director, and a performing artist, and a Los Angeles-based XR professional with 2 decades of discipline in the digital entertainment world, and has the world-renowned production team on some high-tech multimedia installations. So she's had a huge, diverse set of experience. In 2019, she had been using new production methods with Avatar staff to turn out consistently well-executed and futuristic concerts, festivals, and conferences. And she's using a whole bunch of different tools in XR tech like volume capture, augmented reality, hologram, holoportation, which we'll talk about, and digital twins. So take it away, Celeste, if you want to turn your camera on too.
Okay, my camera should be on. I see myself up on the screen.
We see you, yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. And then I just want to make sure that my video is ready to start. I'm going to be looking at this while I am presenting.
It's ready. Just say when.
All right. Roll. Let's roll. All right. Hi, everybody. Hi, Chicago. So my name is Celeste Lear, and I am honored to be here to present with the Next Evolution Event Series. I'm a Los Angeles-based immersive event producer. I produce concerts. I'm an XR experience designer, a VR artist, and predominantly a music and sound director. I've done a lot of production and composition. I worked as a DJ also for many years. So I've had a lot of different types of work and worn different hats in the industry. I've been involved with the entertainment, nightlife, and audiovisual world for almost 2 decades now. And I've had the pleasure of working with many just incredible production teams to turn out many different exciting events, including so many multimedia, like high-tech installations that were like video mapping experiences, gamified festivals and concerts, live broadcasts, conferences, music videos, and a lot of these were physically in real life, and over the last couple of years also in the metaverse. So it's been a really incredible area to kind of expand into. My company is called Boutique Electronic Music, and I also work with a company called Dreamland XR and MetaCities. Here in Los Angeles, I work with a company called Absolute Live Productions as a virtual production coordinator and manager. So a lot of the videos that you're seeing here are projects that I've been grateful to have been a part of. And I'm really honored to be a voice and a leader in the music and the metaverse and virtual event production spaces. And I hope to illuminate in this presentation and the discussion some of the current industry trends, some of the tools that we use, and maybe career path options for anyone here who is interested. So since 2018, on my introduction to the XR world, when I was living in San Francisco, I've been really blown away and inspired by the innovation and the enterprising and pioneering spirits working in this community. And I really appreciate the ways that technology like this is pushing the parameters for art, for expression, for new ways of gathering and socializing. And also something I really like to say, and I think it's very important and often overlooked, is potentials lending to sustainability from reduction of carbon emissions, from the need to travel and consume physical goods, which is something everyone I think should be focusing on with great curiosity right now. So my teams have utilized different types of XR technology like virtual reality, augmented reality, volumetric capture, holoportation, which is actually a Microsoft project that we were helping to beta test. We've worked with hologram technology, motion capture, live broadcast tech, spatial audio, 3D environment design in Unity and Unreal Engine. Worked with some really, really amazing 3D artists to create virtual worlds. And over the years, I've also had an opportunity to work in the exciting emerging areas of virtual filmmaking using LED volumes in Hollywood. And I've been a part of a crew on a couple films and live stream broadcasts, including one of the most recent Muppets movies called The Muppets Haunted Mansion, which was a virtual production done in one studio, and all of the sets were designed in Unreal Engine as 3D environments. I worked with a company called AR Wall. That was a 6-month project, and it was a real eye-opener on how this technology works and how VR is really revolutionizing Hollywood as well. So a lot of people in my community also know that I DJ, and I DJ in virtual reality as an avatar, and I've been a regular guest performer on multiple platforms in the metaverse, including VR Chat, Sansar, Altspace VR, Second Life, and Tribe XR. So that is a really exciting way that I've been able to perform as an artist and share music, and also perform on really exciting virtual stages and 3D worlds where people can come in and have a concert experience in a whole unique new way. The footage you're watching right now is actually one of my most favorite projects that we work directly with the United Nations on the Act Now XR campaign for the Sustainable Development Goals. And a couple of the teams that I've worked on physical installations with, we worked in tandem with UNESCO, and we had permission. We pitched this to the United Nations as during the pandemic as a safe way to gather virtually as avatars and also share information and educate people around the Sustainable Development Goals. And they actually really, really liked the idea. So we got approval. And I'm really, really excited to keep that momentum going. Again, it's called actnowxr.org. And that's one of our current projects. I act as an executive producer, immersive experience designer, and also handle all the sound and music direction for that experience. And those were two what is known as digital twin experiences. So our team of 3D artists designed these 3D digital twin versions of a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the All Wassail Dome Expo 2020. Since the World Expo got canceled, we actually were able to produce a version of the World Expo, and we got to use the UN. We tied it in with the UN protocol. We had to train our avatar staff to stick to very strict UN protocol. We had avatar translators at an information booth inside a little kiosk that our 3D team built. So it was a really fascinating way to produce an event. And we had about 5,000 avatar attendees come from all over the world from a 24-hour event on the Microsoft platform Altspace VR, which is now unfortunately sunset, but it was one of our community's favorite 3D VR platforms to host in. So anyway, I won't go too much farther because I think we're going to have some Q&A. But again, my name is Celeste Lear, And I'm just super inspired by working in the XR community, and the people that you meet in here are such pioneers, and it's just such an exciting burgeoning field to be a part of. And yeah, I hope to share a little bit more with you. I'm going to keep my presentation fairly short, but I'm happy to answer any questions or get into it with a Q&A session with everyone here today.
Fantastic, Celeste. It's such a huge body of work. It's so impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it back to you, Matt, for a minute. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So this is how we're going to be doing Q&A. This is going to get interesting because we have 3 potential venues where people can ask questions, and we have some presenters. So at this point, I'm going to ask our physical space presenters, come back on up to the stage, grab a seat. Feel free to move the seats a little bit forward. I kind of shoved them back there so you guys had some room to walk. Where's Kevin? Kevin's making his way over. Ron, I'm going to actually ask you. I'm going to ask you to come in here and help a little bit. Sorry about that. Last minute audible. But I need somebody to run the microphone for Q&A. Hopefully this will not feed back. So microphone 2, Rob, is going to be the Q&A mic. That'll be out in the audience. And then microphone 3 will be up on the stage here. So the way that Q&A is going to work, there you go. Basically, raise your hand. That's how this is going to work. You raise your hand. We will call on you at that point. Someone will, you'll either have a microphone. If you're in the virtual space, you have the little emoji thing. That's how you raise your hand. If you click the little emoji, little smiley face on the bottom of your screen, it allows you to raise your hand. If you raise your hand, Caroline will call on you. We're going to try and work it so that we can just keep this going. And we'll also be watching Tom in case we have questions that come in off the live stream, at which point Ron will have to get the microphone over to Tom. But with that said, I'm going to throw just the first question out, and this is a general question for everybody to answer, or everyone. Feel free to jump in, guys. If you guys want to jump in, just jump in. But we're starting to hear a lot more words like spatial computing being used outside the industry as a term to explain, digital overlay in the physical world, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality. In all its forms, what does the term actually mean to you, and how do you think it's going to evolve in the coming years? So the term spatial computing.
Testing. Again, for me, it's in that space of having a positive experience. The spatial computing side of things is how are we interacting with it? I think it's an amazing bridging, content that you can't get to someone that has the device or the tools. So I don't know.
Yeah, a combination of physical world with the virtual overlaid content. So also relating to XR technology as a whole, like augmented virtual reality. We say like spatial computing is also like the ability to be immersed into 3D worlds and move around inside of them. I would say that would also be like a way to look at spatial computing.
One of the events I was just at, we're talking about having their own Wi-Fi grid, so you could get on their Wi-Fi grid, and then over their booth, they would like to have signage elements of you can look it through your phone and see, oh, come over here for this demo, and it would just guide you. So there's, the potential is amazing. It's just, the technology then you have to bring and run for that. It increases the what else you have to do for your booth. But the technology is there to get people's attention. Is if they're looking at their phones and hold it up, and you've got some animated creature over your booth, you're gonna be like, oh, I want to go see what they do. There's so the possibilities are endless. It's just how can what can you bring to your audience?
Something else that I've also heard the community say is that since the metaverse got a little bit of negative connotations over the years, especially because of Mark Zuckerberg and Meta and trying to kind of hog all the attention from what it actually is, the real metaverse, that a lot of people have stopped using the term metaverse and are now referring to this as spatial computing.
I think anyone that's here physically should definitely check out the Vision Pro, because that is like Apple did it again. If you remember 15 years ago, we had this phenomenon called an iPhone, And at the time, people were like, I don't need all that stuff on a phone. You can't live without it. But the Vision Pro, if you've ever seen it in person, it is a game changer. It will make you like really, it doesn't feel geeky. It's like, it's a life tool. I think that's going to be like, I think we'll always remember when the Vision Pro came out, because this is like, we're on to the next phase of what XR can bring to your life as a utility. Not just a gimmick or a gaming device. It's going to be a real life utility.
All right, guys, if you have questions in the room, literally throw the hand up and I'll direct the microphone to you. Any questions in the virtual space, Caroline?
I don't see any, no.
All right. So we touched on this a little bit, or at least one or two of you touched on this. We'll keep this quick. You don't have to get into a lot of detail here, but are you or your teams currently experimenting with AI tools in your work? And what is your impression about how that will influence the industry?
As designers, we're terrified. But we realize that we need to embrace it as a tool for us, because it does, from what we've been trying, is putting in different prompts related to the scenic design trade shows. It gets us to a point quicker in the first concept phase, because they always come in, like I said earlier, it always comes in late and hot, so they want to see something quickly. So if we can say, let's get it to this point, it's a good tool. Sorry, I am rambling. But there is the value in, we got there quickly, but we have to now deconstruct that into being usable, because the stuff we've seen, like the AI, it's amazing and crazy what it does, but we put something in and it showed us something that is not structurally sound. So we have to say, okay, that's cool, but let's reverse engineer that and make it so it is usable. So it expedited some of the processes so far. So it is scary, but we are saying we need to be using it. So yes.
Absolutely. And in fact, I just did a visit over to the Meta stage just last week because, as we're developing in development for When Brooklyn Was Queer, we're thinking about the production. And one of the tools called Yume is backfills a lot of the frames and the missing pixels with AI. So that's definitely something that it's something that people should embrace, because it's here, it's happening. It's something that we are starting to incorporate in terms of pre-production, as well as it'll be heavily used in our post-production for sure.
Anything on your end of it, Celeste, in terms of music production?
Yeah, a lot of us are in the music industry are nervous because music is such a sacred and special thing, and the human element could, in most people's eyes, never be replaced or emulated. But a lot of untrained ears would not know that. You get a lot of that these days. My teams are not in particularly using anything than chat GPT or AI technology more than like press releases, or admittedly some flyer art that my business partner has gotten very savvy at creating AI flashy art for decks, deck production, and for Meta Cities and Dreamland XR projects. So no offense, artists. I hate to think that we are putting artists out of work. The way that industries get disrupted by this technology is intense and sobering sometimes. But that are honestly some of the ways that we are using this technology currently for what we do.
And it is scary to think about it, but I think the analogy that I use for getting into this space and doing this dance with AI. I mean, think about the way that we use the calculators on our phones now. But once upon a time, we had to do that heavy lifting. And so there's always the potential for the bad actors and people to do bad things with this technology, but inherently it's there to help us. And it's, if we embrace it in that way and look for the ways to take out the heavy lifting and automate some more tedious processes, that's where we win.
So I'm going to throw in here really quick. I know we have some questions in the room. We have one in the back. I see one coming up here. We'll get to that in a second. But just, we're talking about AV and live and production and stuff like that. We are, just so you guys are aware of what happened, some of this while we're producing this event. We're actually communicating via text between Caroline, Tom, and myself about some of the things that are happening along this production live while it's happening, which is why you'll notice that the center screen in frame has now gone blank, so that Wadia can actually put her camera up there, because I was controlling it previously, and I'll get back to controlling it once we get done with the Q&A. But we'd love to see her face while she's talking. All right, with that, we have a question in the back of the room.
Yeah, hey, sorry. So I have two questions. One directed to Celeste. So Celeste, any plans for Burning Man and their VR, AR world?
Okay, admittedly, I was part of the virtual burn production team in 2020. I got into virtual reality in 2018, bought gear in 2019, including a high-powered gamer PC, and forced myself to use it. Anyone here in music know this is like a predominantly Mac-friendly world. And I made the most incredible friends as avatars in the metaverse during the VR burn. It was incredible. We had so much fun. We were in our living rooms with our headsets on dancing most of the pandemic. So we had formed a very strong community. The VR burn community is a little less rowdy now that things have resumed in real life, but I still see some of the members around town in real life and bump into them occasionally in virtual reality. So this year, no plans in particular. Might go back in real life, but that has yet to be seen.
And I will say that we have some women in XR Women that Celeste is probably referring to, that Big Rock Creative, who are the groups that created some of those worlds. And I also went to Burning Man, and that was very early days, and I was literally blown away. And I was on one of the floats, one of the things that would just float along. Here we were looking at the whole thing, the whole property. Just, you got to try it. That's ultimately, right? That's what everybody always says about VR. It's just, you have to try it.
You have to step into it and fully immerse yourself to get the full effect. Yeah, they designed art cars that made you look like you were simulated on top of a moving art car with music and DJs that was being piped in. It was live broadcast from DJs around the country in our community. So we all had music and incredible visual art exhibitions during the pandemic. So it was quite an incredible technological feat and production feat to pull all that off. And just the fact that we were able to do it and form such strong communities is a testament of this technology, I think.
Just to quickly go back to your question about AI and music. This is more just an observation for everyone that's here, and just to kind of hear the stuff that I'm hearing recently. There's quite a few companies that are taking the entire catalog of Spotify, downloading it, and then creating AI models so that they can find what are the beats per minute that consumers like. What are the sounds like the Beatles and Drake and all these? I know it's terrifying, but this is happening. It's a very real thing that labels are extremely concerned about, because if you're a kid, all you care about is what sounds good to you. You don't really care about the artist. It's just this is a good beat. This sounds good, and that's what this is happening as we speak. Like, it's like there are computer models right now running that say, like, okay, looks like Taylor Swift is the right one, and the chorus works, the beat works, this particular guitar works. Boom, let's spit out 10,000 of these. It's pretty crazy, to say the least. So scary is like, it's probably like the less dramatic word. It's like happening in real time. It's crazy.
I would like to chime in because I'm so passionate about this topic also as a music creator, producer, and DJ, and also a member of the music community, and with so many friends that are artists that are struggling artists. I think that the same way Hollywood was up in arms and protesting, I think the music community should step in a little bit more. I think there might have to be, in my opinion, maybe some mandatory labeling of which songs and music is actually AI. So people have a choice and they know they can choose either more human or they can allow themselves to listen to AI. Why shouldn't there be mandatory labeling on this to protect artists?
I know there was another question in the back, so hopefully it's a quick one. We have a question in the center of the room also.
It was a double question, so we're good.
Oh, we're good. Okay, cool. I saw a question. I saw Chaim go up in the center of the room. There we go. Just FYI, if you're on this side of the room, I can't see you. So if you'd like to raise your hand, like wave it, I might be able to see the reflection on the piano top. Go ahead, Dave.
Thanks. So my question is, I'm not particularly visual. I am colorblind as hell, as Matt remembers. And the most interesting 3D virtual type reality thing I've ever experienced was actually at Disney, where they had a thing called 3D audio. You're in a dark room, they put headset on, and you felt like there were people walking in and around you, and you got your hair cut, and everybody in the room ducked because it was so audibly, virtually real. So Kevin, and to the crew, is there anything coming or any thought about, you're watching Green Day virtually in concert, and if you move closer to the drums, you can actually hear what's going on there, or closer to the crowd, where you have this virtual space, but the audio is also mapped in a similar way, so you can experience, the liveness of it.
Well, that's what Dolby is working on. Dolby Atmos is what you just described, where it's directional. You can move your head, and what's interesting is the feedback that fans are giving in just the regular listening of a regular song versus the live experience is they just don't really care. It's just, I just want to hear my artists. But in the live world, there's so much opportunity to explore that. One thing you mentioned about being colorblind, this is just a fun little observational fact. If you think about how technology has benefited anyone that has any kind of disability, this is only just for fun. Just and maybe you guys already know this, but if you can't hear, imagine what the world looks like now that you can text. Like everything opens up for you. It's amazing. Like I thought about the other day is like, I can communicate now. Like I can text with people. So just imagine what's coming next for just that part of the world. That going to a concert, if you are blind, could be a whole different experience when it's audible, and it's very immersive, and you can feel what's going on, not just for us that can see. It can be a whole different experience. So I'm sorry you're colorblind, but there's hope. Things are happening.
I wanted to just say briefly to address some of that question, and I want to direct it to Wadua, because I have watched only a few things that are in VR, so a film format. And one of the things that's incredible is spatial audio, which for those of us that are in the industry, it's very common now. But I wonder, Wadua, when you're filming these productions, what that means is that you put the headset on and you can be closer or further away from them, or if there's something going on the right-hand side, it sounds as if it is, it's not all just coming in at the same level. And I never quite understand how all that works, but, right? Is that right, Waduba?
Yeah, I mean, yes, the spatial audio is, I mean, like it allows people to get closer to those sounds. I mean, it works like how it does in real life. If I'm standing right next to you, I'm going to hear you loud and clear. And if I'm on the other side of the room, you're probably not going to hear me. And I think that, I mean, like just kind of piggybacking on that last conversation about sound and audio. And I think that, you know, like for us, we think about it in terms of, how does it help the story? And, you know, does it give the audience more agency, or does it take away from the experience, like other people were talking about? Because there are some people that just want that passive consumption. But it's just really exciting. And I think that, you know, like back in 2015, the conversation was around stereoscopic sound, and just people continuing to push in the space and push the audio experience. It's fantastic. I think it is another form of immersion. It's one of the things I love about my Bose frames, or, you know, the Facebook Ray-Ban. I have both, but I love the Bose because the sound is that much better. But it adds a whole other layer to production and to, you know, in terms of, you know, thinking about how you tell these stories. 100%.
I'll chime in really quick. I was at AWE last year, and Dolby had a presence there. They had reps for their demo booth, and they were I think the subsidiary is Dolby.io. So if anyone is not following Dolby.io, I believe they're also working with the Atmos technology and some of the advancements with that. And I did ask them about possibilities for beyond just like spatial sound, but actual ambisonic 360 sound in virtual reality. And they said that they'd have a team working on that too. So that was pretty exciting to hear about.
All right, so we have a question from the live stream, so I'm going to read that one in real quick. This is from Francis, and he's asking, will any presenter expect people to attend events such as Taylor Swift concerts or Super Bowl or destination weddings, ceremonies, receptions, things like the first dance in VR? What's the expectation in terms of, I guess, events opening up this way? Celeste, I'm going to throw this one to you because you probably got the most experience here in terms of the actual events in VR. But what's your expectation about how this is going to evolve?
Okay, I have DJ'd a wedding in virtual reality, and that is no joke. I actually have video documentation of the whole thing. It was so fascinating. It was like a social experiment and maybe like a look at love as and all the boundaryless. So it was two avatars that did get married in the metaverse. And they're still together. I just checked in with them last week, and they're still together, and they're still married in the metaverse. So yeah, just everything's getting bent. The reality is just getting bent with all this technology. Producing events. What I'm really excited about is digital twin experiences. So taking a real world venue and creating a 3D model of that venue. I'm talking about digital twin experiences for music and entertainment, like concerts and sports. So the sports also is a great example because you can have an arena with a 360 camera or the special technology, and then you broadcast that into a 3D space. They're doing this in Meta Horizon, by the way. You can go see certain sports shows in a 3D arena. And so this technology is allowing people to step in. It's an expansion of home entertainment opportunities, and it's a way for people to also get a closer look at what's happening. They can even fly over a court. I think with the tech, I'm not sure if the technology is quite there yet, but pretty soon they're probably going to have technology to people their perspectives as avatars can actually zoom over the court and see the moves in real time, and also concerts and see what the drummer's doing. Someone talked about tuning into the drummer earlier today. So digital twin technology for real world events and extension also for ticket sales. I think that's also going to be a good business model moving into the future, is extension of lower reduced rate ticket sales for shows that might be sold out. Like say Beyonce comes to Chicago and it sells out in an hour. So you can still attend the concert virtually in the metaverse through spatial computing technology, and even get a different perspective, a bird's eye view, or front row seats for a reduced rate, and see a hologram performance or a volumetric, like what is volumetric capture. Yeah, hopefully it won't get taken over by Ticketmaster, right? That's my nutshell thoughts there. If anyone else wants to chime in.
I agree with Celeste. I think it's another revenue stream, unfortunately, but it's like I was looking at Vampire Weekend tickets, right? And there are some affordable seats, and then there's where the really good seats are, or $300 plus. It's crazy, but if they were in a different city, you'd have to travel, fly, hotel. So the cost to see your entertainment, if you offered a $40, $50 ticket level, you're going to get a bigger reach to people that want to be there, but maybe they don't want to be with other people. They don't want to be out with the public. So if they have a private and they can, take it off, go to the bathroom, whatever, they have a positive experience. So that's another area that they can get to. And then they're reaching more people and they have a good experience, and now they're a fan. So that goes to like your super fan, but and then another smaller scale of that is to the wedding. If your grandma is in the hospital and can't go to your wedding, you put the headset on her, you stream it, and she's there. It's it's not just huge scale, but she can't fly, whatever it is. It's a way to bring the technology to someone that has an important life event for their family but couldn't travel. So it's totally going to be adoptable.
I'll tack on real quick. So two things about this. If you think about Taylor Swift, the tickets were very expensive. And there's a lot of people that just can't, they love Taylor Swift. They want that experience of going to a show, but they just can't afford it. I mean, it's, $200 face value, and then it gets into the thousands. And a lot of people just can't go. And there's just not enough real estate for fans to go. So this technology really opens that up in a way that we've never experienced before. The other thing I'll mention is 8 years ago, there was the SNL 40th anniversary. And this is the first time I experienced VR. They put a camera in 30 Rock where this was happening. And if you watched it, it was nothing but celebrities. Every person in the audience was a celebrity. And I'll never forget this feeling of putting the headset on and just looking side to side behind me, and Eddie Murphy's like right here. Like, and just right. But just that, it was just this visceral, crazy feeling of like seeing this iconic person so crystal clear, like right there, his facial movements, and I could go from him to Dan Aykroyd to Jimmy Fallon, and I mean it was like a big giant aha moment for me. And so just imagine where that's going to go, where you can get on stage with Taylor Swift and be right there in the eye sockets of Taylor Swift and see what makes her tick, and like it's very exciting.
I know we've had a question in the back of the room for a long time, so go ahead.
All right, this is a question for Kevin. In addition to the concept of having the ability to hear like the original artists in their studio, like the Beatles and Abbey Road, do you also see potential to have maybe like a filter that like somebody who's like a home artist would be able to, say, apply the Abbey Road filter to their recordings and maybe get that kind of sound, or play with different virtual studio kind of, but emulating the big studios, right?
We're about to be best friends. I've likened this technology, what we're working on, to an Instagram filter. So if you are on Spotify, in a perfect world, which is what we're working on, there will be 200, 300 filters that just live underneath the music that you're listening to. So if there's a guy named, there's a person here that manages this artist, by the way, named Steven Sanchez, if anyone knows who that is. He's a very old school, he's very popular, but he sounds like Elvis and he moves like Elvis. He's got like that vibe. And what is exciting to these guys is like, wow, how cool would it be to take his current modern music and apply our filter of Graceland and to see what that sounds like. So in reverse, it could be, you could have a track that you're excited about, and it's like, hey, here's my music through Taylor Swift Studio. So you're spot on. That's what we're chasing, is that the space is not just aligned with the artist. It's, you could listen to anything. You could listen to a Taylor Swift through the Beatles' Abbey Road. Like there's a lot of ways to skin this. So good call, man.
We have a question in the center of the room, but one thing I'm just going to throw at you, because it just kind of hit me. So it's one thing if you're again, not just listening to a concert, but watching a concert. So if I'm watching a concert video, and obviously I can only hear my sound system's sound, but if you're watching, say, somebody performing at Red Rocks, and you could say, no, put this through the Red Rocks filter while I'm watching it live. That would be something you're looking at?
Let's make that happen.
Cool. Question in the center of the room.
So I'm really enjoying everybody's perspective here, just because everyone's bringing something unique to the table. There's an obvious race going on with VR and AR, and it's interesting to see where it jumps. Pokemon Go, for example, COVID, for example, and this technology just keeps progressing. But what is the end goal that XR will become consumer-based? Will it be a concert? Will it be a avatar show? Will it be a movie? Who sees what being popular first?
A Taylor Swift VR concert.
All right, so I gotta say, this is actually a really good one to end on, and we're getting close to that time, so I'm gonna let that be. This is gonna be kind of the final statement from all of our presenters. I'd like all of our presenters to actually jump in on this one, because it really speaks to, okay, from your perspective, where is this going? Like, what is the end state? So I don't know if you want to end that with Taylor Swift, but you can jump on it.
A Vision Pro Taylor Swift concert. Done. Mic drop.
I'm a video gamer, so I want to be immersed in some of those environments where, you get to explore more. They Jedi Survivor, they made an amazing bunch of planets, and you finish the game and it's over and it's done. But that's like feeling like you're there. That's what I want from spatial computing.
We'll do it.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't, if obviously I could say I think that it's going to be some kind of entertainment that that is visual and probably in the like in the media. I mean, like in my space, but I mean, ultimately, I think all of these things, and the more that we push into this space and make it more accessible, because there are different things that appeal to different people. Some people are better or bigger movie fans, and some people are more into music. And I don't think that we should limit it. I think that that's a very narrow very narrow way to think about what this opportunity is. That's not like asking who's going to have a smartphone, in the future. And so I'm excited by, all the experiences, whether they're live concerts, whether they're series like what we're developing. And just like I'm excited about Apple Vision Pro, but I'm also excited to see who else is coming out there, because I don't think that there should be any one dominant technology. I think that is also limiting in our experiences in terms of where we go. I mean, somebody commented that we all bring something interesting to this conversation. How much less interesting would it be if it was just the same kind of echo chamber again and again? So that's my contrarian view. It's all of these things that are going to win and bring people in. And I think the more that we have people building and experimenting and pushing the envelope and trying to break things, that's really what's going to bring the mainstream in, and also just pulling it into their daily lives and making it less about you have to be this or you have to be that. It's really making it a buffet for the masses to come in and get fed.
Celeste.
I think ultimately, if you look at the goals, if we look at just society in general, we want ease of use. We want our lives to be more convenient and less stressful. And I think we also, so many people are looking for methods to become more sustainable, consume less, have less impact on our planet Earth. And so any technology that's going to allow us to move closer to these goals, I think it's very important to be focusing on and working to educate ourselves around. A lot of people in the industry say that the AR is actually going to be one of the more widely adopted because we use it on our devices that we already have, and we'll have way better options for less cumbersome glasses. A lot of people do not like headsets. They're still cumbersome. They're still a little heavy. They're still awkward to put on. A lot of people don't like feeling that detached from reality. A lot of people are not as technologically adventurous as some of us are. So the AR, I encourage everyone here to come to Augmented World Expo because it really is incredible to meet some of the people that are making this technology. It's not just AR. It's a lot of people from all across all spectrums of this industry. Definitely worth coming out to. But yeah, I think AR is most likely going to be the most widely adopted first before VR is.
All right, Caroline, you want to jump in on this with your final statement?
Yeah, I think I agree with Wadua in this, that we are having this convergence happening. So I think people are recognizing that even though there are headset companies pushing that and there's AR that's being used on phones, I think everything's becoming integrated together. So I think it really has a lot to do with how can we make it accessible, and can we represent voices that need to be represented. And I think Wadua, just because of the work that you're doing, is that there are opportunities we now have in some of these mediums that are going to allow more people to be seen, I hope, and heard. So yeah, I see it as really a combination of a lot of things. So.
And also, I just want to throw out social. I mean, that's the line that
Exactly.
we got to push that, because when you put on these headsets, you might meet other people inside, but you're still limited in your gaming in some of these other experiences. So, creating more spaces for people to hang out and in between these experiences too, and just as an extension of what we do in everyday life. Sorry, Carolyn.
No, that's absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it's true that in the XR industry, it's all about how are people connecting. And all the platforms like Frame, like Verbella, like Spatial, they're all designed to bring people together so they can communicate in those spaces, not just be an isolated avatar. So, yeah.
All right, and I'm not going to say what I think the future is. I think basically the last thing I'll say, Tom might remember this. Going into the pandemic in 2020, we were actually kind of building sort of a marketing push around this event series, which we obviously never ran because the pandemic. But the whole concept was, it was about immersive technology, and it's, if you're not using it already, you're already behind. And what a lot of people don't see, again, this is one of the benefits that I, working in the space for as long as I have, consulting with companies that are doing this technology, we get to see all the different places this is being used, and it is being used all over the place. So you're asking, like, what's the future? What's it going to be? It's kind of getting there. It's you know, to what Oa said, it's going to be used for a lot of different purposes by a lot of different people, and different technologies are going to be used in different ways, but it's just going to be, you know, it's why we named this the next evolution. It's the evolution of the technology. It's not something new. It's not going to completely replace, you know, it's like one of those things where people said, oh, smartphones are going to replace laptops. No, they're not. But they're going to take a lot of the things that you do on a laptop and move it to the smartphone. Same thing with immersive technology. A lot of the things that you do now using a smartphone or a laptop, you're going to start using immersive technology for them. And it's just going to evolve like that over time, and more things. You know, at the end of the day, immersive technology is the interface. And you can say AR or VR or compare which is going to come first or faster. The one thing I like about the Apple device, and frankly, the Quest 3 slightly before the Apple device, is it really blurred that line between AR and VR, which is something that's a lot of us in the industry have been saying, this is going to happen. There's not going to be a line there. They're really related technologies. So I'll stop with that. Thank you again to each of our presenters. Again, this is a huge industry topic to try and cover. That's why we have 4 people with 4 very different backgrounds covering the area here of arts, AV, and communication. But I do want to say thank you again to all of our presenters for being here, for presenting, for sharing your knowledge with us. Those of you in the physical space, this is not the end. We have networking after that. We do have the Apple Vision Pro in the back. Please try it. We have the film that's being shown over here in the demo space. Please try that too. I'm going to end the stream. So we have a little bit of housekeeping. So I'm going to ask if you can actually give me control of the center screen back, because I got to throw some slides up there. But that said, a couple of little things of housekeeping, and then we'll end and get back to networking. With that, give me a second.
And Matt, while you're doing that, I do want to point out, there's a couple of things that Wadua and Celeste shared here in the chat, and I know folks don't have the chat, but do check them out on LinkedIn. They have some really amazing links to their work and their projects and some events that are coming up, and one that you can see an actual virtual world from YouTube happening in South by Southwest that Celeste shared. So I just want a big shout out to them. So you can find them on LinkedIn, and yeah, thanks.
Did we lose our audio?
Did you hear that?
We got most of it, yeah. So we lost you after LinkedIn, but that's it. Oh yeah. So one of the things we talk about this all the time. You see all of our presenters here. All of their information is up on the website. You want to connect with them? Their LinkedIn is there. Their website is there. In some cases, their email might be there. But any of the things that we share here, the entire presentation is online forever. It'll be linked from this event's webpage. This video will be on AWE's channel forever. Or at least as long as their channel exists, I'll say. But that stuff, so yeah, all of these resources, we want to make sure you know all of this stuff is available. You can go back and find it. I'll check for the links that you've posted in the chat, and I'll make sure that they're added to the webpage or somewhere else. With that, I know we couldn't show your video live during the event because of the audio issues. We will show it in the room. I'm sorry, am I streaming in? Can you guys see me on the center screen? Tom, check the screen.
No, the center.
We can't see you on center, no, but we can see you from.
You don't see the slides?
Yeah, I see this overall slide. Yeah.
There we go. Sorry, I'm looking at 2 different screens that have it. Well, with that said, we'll get to some housekeeping. So again, this has been the industry topic for the day. I'll throw the NFT up and leave it up for the rest of the evening once I get through one more slide. But we do have a couple of events coming up. Again, this is, this is the one I'm going to leave up now because this is the donation link. So again, if you can support this event series, please do. It's not free to produce. And we have a number of things. I'll throw this back up in a second. We have a number of events coming up. So April 3rd, we will be covering marketing. That's our industry topic for April event. May 1st, we will be covering manufacturing is going to be our industry topic. I believe both of those events are going to be taking place at 1871. And then on June 5th, we are going to be doing something that we used to do a lot pre-pandemic, which is demo day. We are going to bring as much technology into one room as possible and just let you guys try a bunch of stuff. So we expect we'll have a Vision Pro. We expect we'll have Quests. We'll probably have a Vive XR Elite, you name it. Basically, we're going to try and get our hands on as much technology as we can and have it in Chicago. Kind of as a little bit of a preview for those who are going to be going out to Augmented World Expo in a couple of weeks. And for those who can't make it, well, you get to try a lot of stuff in Chicago. So that's what we're going to be doing for demo day. We're still figuring out what the virtual portion of that event is going to look like, but we think we're honestly going to give the people who come to demo the technology the chance to just present to the virtual audience. With that said, I'm going to throw the donation link up one more time. It's always available. Again, this whole presentation is available online. And after that, I'm going to throw the NFT up, and that will remain up for the remainder of the evening. I will show Wadoa's video briefly in the room, and then I'll keep the NFT tag back up. But once again, thank you to all of our presenters. Thank you, Caroline, to all the people who are helping make this event work. Tom, Ron, thanks for volunteering today and helping out both with registration and mic running. Patrick, and with that, once again, thanks, presenters. We are done. Hope you enjoyed it. Please hang around, have some food, have some drinks, try the demos, and feel free to ask anybody questions that you didn't want to ask into a microphone. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great night. And
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Celeste. Thank you, Adua.
Okay, yeah, good job.
Yeah, yeah. And like he said, I'll make sure that he gets all the links that are in the chat so that we can have those shared to everybody else. And I'm excited. I copied those links you guys gave me, the YouTube one and Wadua the one.
Oh, they're
Try
on
that.
XR Women also.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Super.
I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Thank
there we
you,
go.
guys.
Sorry, guys. So Frame, I'm keeping it. Caroline, just really quickly, can you get all the links and send them to me outside of Frame? Because I have to close the Frame so I can show Widowa's video.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so yeah, please copy that, and hopefully I don't think the chat lives, like persists after I leave.
It
but if
doesn't.
it does, I can add it.
No, I don't think so. Okay, that's fine.
Right. So I have to close Frame right now, and then yeah, if you can copy all of that and send it to me, we'll get it up on the page. And I'm gonna play Widowa's video right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day and a good rest of your event.
Thank you, guys. You're the best. Appreciate it.